Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I won't hate my mom or grandparents for him even if he thinks mom betrayed him? My mom died when I, 16, male was 3. She had cancer and was diagnosed when she was pregnant with her and my dad's second baby. She terminated to start treatment, but everyone told me it was super aggressive and she just couldn't fight it off. I don't get all the legal stuff, so I'll explain the best I can. When my mom was sick, she set up money for me from the money she inherited from her grandparents. Mom thought that should be all mine. She set it up in a way that left my grandparents overseeing it, and my dad can't touch it, and neither can I. Only my grandparents can, and she left instructions that it's only to be used if I need something. So if I need food, buy food out of it, or clothes, or if I get sick and it's expensive, or something like that. My dad never forgave my mom for putting my grandparents in charge of it instead of him. He felt like she betrayed him and that she was punishing him before she died, forever possibly marrying again and having more kids. He said she made a big deal out of saying it was for her child, only her child, and that if other people in my house needed money, it wasn't for them. The first time he told me about this, I was 6, and he was really pissed off that mom had locked him out of supporting us both and any future family out of it. My dad got married again when I was 8. My dad and stepmother have 3 kids together, and my middle half sibling has really bad asthma. She goes to the hospital twice a year in winter when she catches something that makes her really sick. She's had a few asthma attacks too. My dad and stepmother had to borrow money to cover some of the costs for it. Then my dad lost his job, and his new one paid way less and had longer hours too. His wife took a pay cut at her job like others did because they were trying to save money. So money has been tight. My grandparents decided to take me out to eat and buy me stuff I need to help out. They don't take it from the money mom left, and they say that's because I should have that for my future. My dad wanted my grandparents to stop listening to my mom's wishes and give him money each month from it for all of us, not just me. He said they could also buy all the kids something. My grandparents told him they were only going to help their grandson and not his other children. After they said no, my dad started ranting about them. Ever since things got really tight 6 months ago, he's been talking badly about my mom and grandparents a lot. He talks about how my mom betrayed him and how my grandparents aren't good people because they'd leave the rest of the family to struggle while I get what I want and need. He told me again how my mom wanted to spite him for remarrying and how she was so against him moving on that she'd let my half-siblings go hungry by being so strict about what her money could be spent on. Then he told me I should forget about my mom and grandparents because I have a better mom and my stepmother. I told him my stepmother isn't my mom and never will be. I told him he might feel betrayed by my mom, but he won't make me hate her or my grandparents either. Then I asked him why he tells me all this and what he thinks I'll do. He said he expects me to want to defend and protect my family. I told him that's what I just did. Dad told me I can't even remember my mom, and my grandparents are less family than parents and siblings. Then he said I should feel this anger because of what they all did to him, and I said I won't hate them for him either. I said he feels how he feels, but I'll still love them. That made my dad mad, and he told me I might need a psychiatrist because there was something broken in me for not seeing why he's this angry and for not feeling the same way too. It feels weird for my dad to think like that about me, and I hate that he's so mad at me. But I don't get why he's being like this. I can maybe understand him feeling hurt that my mom didn't trust him, but I don't think she was wrong to want to take care of me and not my half-siblings, who were born after she died and have nothing to do with her. I don't think my grandparents are wrong either, since I'm their only family. I don't know, but my dad could be right about it. So I'm asking and hoping I won't be called a monster or anything, but I want to know anyway. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. So let me get this right. Your dad wants you to hate your family because they will not allow him to steal your future to support his new family? Did I get that right? Well, your dad's an entitled piece of work, not the a-hole. That's pretty much exactly it. He said it should help everybody in the family and not just me, and he told me I should want my half-siblings to eat as well as me and have what they need like I do. He said that's what makes a good person, and he brought up the fact my grandparents and mom wouldn't care if something tragic happened to my half-siblings. He's so extreme about it, but I get why my mom wanted just me taken care of and why my grandparents only take care of me. I was theirs. My half-siblings aren't. Well, I'm sorry your dad sees you as a meal ticket instead of being grateful that some of the burden is lifted from his shoulders by at least having you taken care of. His new children are not the responsibility of your mother, may she rest in peace, or your grandparents. Thanks. I don't like this side of Dad, and it's always so uncomfortable when he tries to get me to hate them, because I can see their side way better. Sure, I can understand him feeling hurt, but I don't get why he'd want Mom to take care of his new family. Because it's not their family anymore. That's just me. Not the a-hole. It sounds like your mom knew exactly what kind of man your dad is and was protecting you from him. That's what he's mad about. That he couldn't steal from her and you after her death. If things are really that tight, offer to live with your grandparents and lessen the number of children they have to provide for. My grandparents offered to let me live with them or stay with them part of the time. My dad told them they weren't going to steal me from my real family and they could F off, and some other stuff about how nobody's taking any of his kids away. If you can, make plans with your grandparents when you're 18 to move in with them, and start giving the grandparents important documents for safekeeping. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not faking grief after my dad's wife died and making her daughter not want me there? My parents divorced when I, 17, was a toddler. They were on okay terms at first, but it changed when I was 6, and my dad started dating his wife. There were issues between her and my mom, and I heard my dad's wife 11 different times say that she hoped my mom would drop dead, so she and my dad's family could all be together, and they wouldn't have to share me. My parents had 50-50 custody of me, so it wasn't like I was at my dad's more and my mom was flaky. But hearing his wife say she wanted my mom dead made me not like her very much. Her daughter didn't like me not liking her mom. She's a year younger than I am, and she was really protective of her mom, and still is. We have that in common because I'm protective of my mom. It meant we fought a lot and never got along. My feelings never changed about my dad's wife either. Not when my half-siblings were born, and not after knowing her for almost 10 years. When she died a few weeks ago, she wasn't someone I missed or grieved for. I still don't. For me, she was someone I sorta had to tolerate because my dad loved her, but she was never special or important to me. And a part of me found it kind of funny after she wished my mom dead so many times. She probably wished her dead more than the 11 times I heard. I never said I found that part funny, but I do. It was my mom's week when my dad's wife died, and I went to my dad's house the next day because she died late at night. My dad was a mess. My half-siblings were too, and so was his wife's daughter. It was awkward because my dad kept trying to tell me I didn't need to hold back my tears, and it was okay to cry, but I just never felt like I wanted to cry. I couldn't say that though. His wife's daughter started bringing it up a couple of hours after I got there. She told me I didn't look sad at all, and asked how much I hated her freaking mother that I couldn't even look sad, or like I lost my second mom. I told her that wasn't what her mom was, and she stormed up to her room. My dad told me it was okay to grieve someone I didn't always get along with, and that it would make sense because she was a part of my family. I spent most of that visit avoiding the conversation. A few days later, my dad wanted to know if I wanted to do something at the funeral, and I said no. That made his stepdaughter angry at me again, or at least made her show it again. She told me we were all supposed to do something as her kids, and I said I wasn't her kid and she wasn't my mom. 2 days after the funeral, she blew up at my dad and told him that if she was staying, I couldn't be there because she could see it in how not sad I was. That I was glad her mom was dead and she hates me. She said all they ever wanted was for me to be their son and brother, and I never wanted that. I wanted my mom instead. She told my dad she wouldn't look at my face anymore and wanted to beat the crap out of me every second we were in the same place. My dad tried to calm her down, but she told him she hates me as much as I hated her mom. My dad took me to the side and told me I should show my grief a little, so that she would feel better about me being there. I told him I was going back home to my mom, because it would get physical between us if we were both there, and I know he wanted her there. He told me that wasn't the answer, and I needed to show my grief a little. I told him I didn't feel any. My dad didn't take it well, and he looked angry at me then too. He said I could have faked it at least, because my lack of grief was distracting. And he said it made his stepdaughter not want me there. He called her my sister, And I said no. I said we were never like that, and I wasn't faking anything for her, and I wasn't hanging around for her to attack me when fighting back would get me into worse trouble than her. My dad isn't happy about it, and he keeps trying to get me to go back to his house, but his stepdaughter said if I do, she's gone. She told my dad she was hurt he'd chase after me instead of wanting her, so he's doing it more quietly now. Am I the a-hole? I tell your father that you constantly overheard that woman say she wished your mom would die. If he doesn't understand then he's a terrible father anyway, and you should go no contact. Not the a-hole. Sometimes there are people in our lives that, for whatever reason, we cannot mourn. It is almost a neutral, feeling the same way whether they are here or gone. I understand your stepsister's grief is overwhelming, because that was her mother. Have you ever told your father that you have heard his wife wish your mom was dead on more than one occasion? That would explain a lot to him. There is nothing you can say to your stepsister that's going to change her mind, so just let her be. You are navigating a very complicated situation. I wish you luck. I did talk to my dad about it before. He knows I know she did that. Maybe he thinks he was able to explain it away to me back then, but he couldn't. Nobody could, because I heard her say it often enough to know no excuse would matter. He should have ended things with her the first time she said it. The fact he tolerated her behavior, married and then had children with her, shows you he thinks of himself before you. He's now showing you that he puts his stepdaughter before you too. He should, but he wasn't going to. I think he really believed I'd start loving her anyway. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdad that I am just as much related to my half-sister as he is? I, 21 female, have two younger half-sisters who are 14 and 9. We share the same mom but have two separate dads. Me and my stepdad have always had a strained relationship. When I first met him, he treated me like an actual daughter and would include me in family events and spend time with me one-on-one. However, when my sisters were born, this all changed. He stopped spending time with me and even stopped letting me join in on family activities, saying stuff like, "You're too old for this," and "Why don't you go spend some alone time in your room?" At first, it was just these sorts of things, but as I grew older, he started reacting weirder and weirder to me being alone with my sisters. Obviously, I know there's a bit of an age gap between me and them, but I try my hardest to spend time with them and partake in their interests. I'd play video games with the older one and make slime and do crafts with the younger one. However, if my stepdad found out I was alone in a room with my sister, he'd get mad. He'd yell at me and force me to leave, which always confused me because I wasn't doing anything wrong and my sisters wanted to spend time with me. He genuinely made me feel like a creep. As I reached my late teens, I started to offer to babysit my sisters if my parents ever needed me to, but my stepdad would always flat out refuse. He would literally take my sisters all the way to my grandparents' house 2 hours away every time they had a date night, despite me always being home. Once, while my stepdad was away on a work trip, my mom got me to babysit my sisters while she ran some errands, but told me not to tell him or he'd go mad. Eventually, I moved out when I turned 20, which means I see my family less and less, but whenever I go back, I still try to spend time with my sisters, and he still gets upset. I hit my limit about a week ago when I went to visit. I was sitting in my 14-year-old sister's bedroom, having just genuine normal girl talk. Nothing weird, just about makeup, when my stepdad walked in and told me how inappropriate it was that I was in there. I finally snapped and told him that I was just as related to my sisters as he is, and had every right to spend time with my family. He got upset with this and left the house, and my mom is telling me I was a bit rude with my approach. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in the wrong and shouldn't be trying to be close with my sisters, or if my stepdad is just insane. Sorry this was so long. I just honestly needed to get this off my chest. Also sorry if any of this is confusing. Edit. A quick edit to answer a common question. Me and my stepdad used to argue a lot about normal teenage stuff. Never physical or in front of the kids. The whole family knows about these arguments and has agreed I'm not an unstable person. Not the a-hole. Your stepdad's acting weird, and your mom isn't helping the situation. She should have stood up for you instead of enabling his behavior. You deserve much better treatment. Thank you. Honestly, I wish she would stand up for me too, considering I stand up for her all the time. But she's got that I'm the child, they're the adult mentality. I find his reaction disturbing. Next time you're alone in a room with one of your sisters and he has another blow up, ask him what his problem is. Is there something going on he doesn't want you to find out? It's okay for him to be with them alone, but not you. I'd also tell him, I'm not being a creep, but your reaction sure is creepy. Honestly, my 14-year-old sister tells me everything, so if there was something happening, she would tell me. I just genuinely thinks he views me as an outsider and not his kid's sister. Not the a-hole. Stepdad's a weirdo and acting sus. Right? I'm wondering if he's afraid they'll tell OP something that he doesn't want her to know. I do wonder the same thing, but my 14-year-old sister has expressed to me she genuinely doesn't understand why he acts the way he does towards me. Edit. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who's taken the time to give me supportive words and advice. I will definitely be digging into things further and try to figure out what the issue is. I do want to assure everyone, though, that my sisters are safe. I know a lot of people have mentioned potential abuse, and while I will be keeping an eye out for it, I think my stepdad's issue is more about me and less about them. I will keep you guys updated on anything I find out, but give it some time. As I said, I no longer live with them, and I'm currently dealing with other issues. Again, thank you everyone for the support. Now for the small update. After reading all your advice, I have decided to try and have a conversation with my mother, and also talk to my older sister to see if I can get any answers. This may take a while due to me rarely being able to speak to them because of work and other things, but I will update as soon as it happens. I also wanted to give a bit more insight into my family's history, to give you guys and myself more context about why my stepdad might behave this way. So my parents split when I was 6, and my mom and stepdad got together when I was 7. I believe the relationship was definitely rushed because my first sister was conceived about 8 weeks into the relationship. My mother's family were definitely not supportive of this, which caused them to pull out of our lives around the time my mother was pregnant with my second sister. I don't know why I didn't mention this before, since to me this could potentially be a big part of why my stepdad treats me differently. I also wanted to mention that my mom and stepdad aren't married. This is due to some technical issues with my mother's divorce with my biological father. I've mentioned this in a few comments, but wanted to put it here as well. I also come from a slightly different cultural background than the rest of my family. Both my mom and stepdad are completely white British, but my bio dad and his family were Romani. I personally only found this out about 2 years ago. For some reason, my mother just never thought to tell me. And growing up, I did get a few questionable comments from my stepdad about stereotypes linked to that. Lastly, I do have an older half-brother, 33 male, from my bio dad, who did walk out of my life with my bio dad. I only mention this because I wonder if my stepdad thinks I'll do a similar thing to my sisters, which I would never do.